Well, I think a recession is inevitable at some point. As to whether there is a recession in the near term, I think that is more likely than not. It certainly isn't. It's not a certainty, but it appears more likely than not. I mean, the obvious reason for inflation is that the government printed a zillion amount of more money than it had, obviously. So it's like the government can't just, have issue checks far in excess of revenue without there being inflation. Velocity of money held constant. So unless something would change with velocity of money, but it's just if federal government writes checks, they never bounce. So that is effectively creation of more dollars. And if there are more dollars created, then the increase in the goods and services output of the economy, then you have inflation. Well, I think it's more like it does seem like we're headed into a recession here in 2023. The magnitude of that recession is debatable, but I think it's at least a light to moderate recession. Potentially, it's on the order of 2009. So I think it's wise to kind of like prepare for the worst, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. Don't get too adventurous. Like watch out for margin debt. Like I would really advise people to not have margin debt in a volatile stock market, and from a cash standpoint, keep powder dry. This is very basic. This is not like super complicated. And if the government could just issue massive amounts of money and deficits didn't matter, then why don't we just make the deficit 100 times bigger? And the answer is you can't, because it will basically turn the dollar into something that is worthless. So, and various countries have tried this experiment multiple times. It's not like, oh, I wonder what happens if this is done.
Yeah.
Have you seen Venezuela? Like the poor people of Venezuela have been just run roughshod by their government. And so obviously you can't simply create money. As we know, the economy is cyclic. So we're somewhat overdue for a recession. And my best guess is that we have sort of stormy times for a year to a year and a half, and then things start to dawn breaks roughly in Q2 24. If I were to get, that's like my best guess. Recessions don't like booms don't last forever, but neither do recessions. The true economy is very important. Like the true economy is the output of goods and services. It's not money. It's literally what is the output of goods and services. Money is simply a way for us to, or anything that you call money, is a way for us to conveniently exchange goods and services without having to engage in barter, and also to shift obligations in time.
So the inflation question is interesting because we do get a fair bit of insight into where prices of things are going over time. Because when you're making millions of cars, you have to purchase commodities many months in advance of when they're needed. So you need to tell, because it's a very long supply chain with a tremendous amount of inertia. So we sort of have some insight into where prices are headed over time. And the interesting thing that we're seeing now is that most of our commodities, most of the things that go into a Tesla, not all, but I don't know, more than half, the prices are trending down in 6 months, 6 months from now. Now this could change, obviously, but the trend is down, which suggests that we are past peak inflation. Now, making macroeconomic prognostications is a recipe for disaster, but my guess is that we're past peak inflation, and that we will have a recession. I think it will be a relatively mild recession, sort of. But I'm just guessing here. This is total speculation. But I would guess it's a mild recession for, I don't know, 18 months or something like that. It would be my best guess right now. We don't have fundamental capital misallocations in the U.S. as we have had in the past, like leading up to 2008, where we were building primary housing units at twice the rate of household formation, which obviously doesn't make sense. And there were a lot of companies that were over-levered. The leverage or debt that companies have right now is relatively low. So, yeah, I would say probably, mild, moderate recession, maybe 18 months-ish. And I think inflation is going to drop rapidly. That's my guess.
Well, money is an information system for labor allocation and for exchange of goods and services and for translating in time. And the quality of that information is a function of it's like you can apply information theory to money, and I think it helps explain why one money system is or why one action is better than another. And so, like you just like an internet connection, you'd want something that's high bandwidth, low latency and jitter, and is not dropping packets, does not have a lot of errors in the system. And the same is true of money. You want, and really, like you said, what did PayPal really do? That it helped improve the bandwidth, the speed at which money could move. Instead of mailing checks back and forth, which amazingly that was what people did in 2000. You could now do real-time exchange of money, and now you could ship your goods immediately instead of mailing a check.
Some people have this absurd view that the economy is like some magic horn of plenty. Like it just makes stuff, whatever. There's a magic horn of plenty, and the goods and services, they just come from this magic horn of plenty. And then if somebody has more stuff than somebody else, it's because they took more from this magic horn of plenty. Now let me just break it to you, the fools out there. If you don't make stuff, there's no stuff. I would become detached from reality. You can't just legislate money and solve these things. If you don't make stuff, there is no stuff.